What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles in the Open Ultra League submitted to the channel by Beebs, who's running a double Dragonfly team, and not actual Dragonfly Pokemon, but dragons that learn fly in Flapple and Drampa. Now to round out the team, Beebs is running an XXL Shiny Fortress. Now since this trainer's last submission, which was actually over 2 years ago with a Dizzy for Days theme team, they've actually started their own YouTube channel under the name of Pogo Bros, featuring lots of spicy and creative teams, so definitely go ahead and check them out. I'll leave a link in the description to their channel, and I'm sure eventually they will comment on this video as well, in which case I will pin that comment so you can very easily go ahead straight to their channel. Now before we get into the question of the day, I want to say a massive thank you for the support on last night's live stream, and especially to DC Cool 800 My Gamer and Garrett Kim for their sizable donations and memberships. It was quite a long live stream, so I'm very grateful for the support from you guys and everyone else that donated, so thank you for that. But with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. Now you might not know this, but Applin also has 2 more evolutions currently not in Pokemon Go just yet, so I want to know, what is your favorite dragon type Pokemon currently unreleased in Pokemon Go? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. As we go into the first battle, leading Shiny Fortress into Swampert, so of course, not ideal for us. We're going to be safe swapping into Drampa, and the opponent is choosing to stay in with their Swampert. We're going straight for Swift here, as the opponent does not fire off a charge move straight away. Swift does respectable damage. They bank a lot of energy before swapping into Virizion. Now, actually going to shield here. The opponent is going to go for a Leaf Blade, so we could attack that reasonably comfortably, but we are now full sending in the Fly, and the opponent does not realize we've got Flying type coverage. It hits for double super effective damage. We flip switch advantage, and that's huge for us because they've got a Tentacruel in the back, a Pokemon that Flapple isn't really going to want to deal with. But of course, Flapple going to be very good into Swampert. Now unfortunately they do fully farm us down, but that's okay. We're going to come in with the Fortress, and we are definitely going to no shield the first move. The opponent fires off the Scald there before swapping back into Swampert. Now we're going to no shield as they go for a Hydro Cannon. We then swap into our Flapple, and the opponent will reach a charge move. Of course, Sludge going to hit for super effective damage. We shield, and they go for a Hydro Cannon there. What the heck is that? I guess they're also not running Sludge for some reason, but either way, doesn't really matter. They come back in with the Tentacruel. We fire off the Seed Bomb. The opponent will have to go for either a Blizzard or a Sludge Wave, depending on what they've got. The opponent full sends the Sludge Wave there, getting the KO, but we can come back in with the Fortress, go straight for the Rock Tomb. We don't have to hit any bubbles here. Rock Tomb easily gets the KO, and we're able to take that game. Into next battle, we see a Shadow Machamp in the lead. So of course, we are going to stay in this matchup here. The opponent will outpace us to the charge move. We're actually going to shield this, and the opponent is running Dynamic Punch, which of course got buffed this season and might be the play for Shadow Machamp here. But either way, we're going to go for a Rock Tomb bait, and the opponent calls the bait. They're expecting a debuffing move. They're now going to fire off another Dynamic Punch. We can tank this obviously a lot more comfortably now as we've debuffed them, and we're able to snipe with the Flapple, get that Dragon Red farm down before they reach another move. The opponent then comes in with a Feraligatr, and this is perfectly fine with us. We're going to fire off the Seed Bomb here. Seed Bomb is, of course, going to be shielded by the Feraligatr, and the opponent is now going to fire off a charge move. The opponent does full send the Ice Beam here. We're going to shield that up and then go and fire off another Seed Bomb here. Seed Bomb should be getting the KO, so it will be grabbing the final shield from the opponent, and the opponent is then going to swap. We're able to make a very nice catch there as we are able to catch the Ice Beam, which is resisted damage. They come in with a Zapdos, and this should be game over now. Rock Tomb, of course, going to hit for super effective damage. We will get farmed down there, but that's absolutely okay. We can come in with the Drampa here, and of course, we've debuffed their attack, so if they go for a Drill Peck, it's not going to do too much damage here. We will be able to sponge the damage fairly comfortably. The opponent goes for Drill Peck. We're able to get the Dragon Red farm down, and we will reach a Swift up against Feraligatr coming back in. And of course, Swift from this range gets the KO, and we're able to take that game. Into next battle, leading into a Corviknight. The opponent's going to Safe Swap into Unova and Stunfisk, and we're going to come in with the Flapple and just completely wall this thing. Of course, they can go for ground type moves, going to be single resisted, and their fast move Thundershock is going to be double resisted by the Dragon and Grass typing. The opponent fires off a second Mud Bomb there. We're still in the green health range, which is very nice to see. We're going to fire off the Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb is going to connect, and that will put them into Dragon Red farm down range. They're going to reach one final charge move here, but it doesn't really matter. We can safely no shield, and then commit to the full Dragon Breath farm down. To come back in with the Corviknight, yes, they are going to resist everything, but they will not be able to fast speed farm us down here. At least I don't believe they will, because of course, these standard attacks, they are going to be resisted, and as a result, we're able to reach a second fly, and fly still not going to do that much damage in this matchup, but we do get them into the yellow health range, and the opponent committing to the farm down, we're able to reach another move here. Very nice catch actually on the opponent's end, catching a fly rather than a double super effective seed bomb, but either way, we're now looking fine here as we can come in with a Dramper, fire off a Swift. Swift is going to be shielded by the Gastrodon, and we can actually shield at the last second, and that is very fortunate for us as they full send the Earth Power. They realize it's going to be game over there, and so they just concede the match. But into the next battle, we see a Drifblim in the lead. So fine matchup for us. We're going to stay in this matchup, and the opponent could be on Mystical Fire. It's quite unlikely, so we are going to no shield, and it is just an icy win there. So good call. We can now go for the Rock Tomb, of course. Rock Tomb, we've now been debuffed. Probably won't get the KO from this range, but it does grab a shield anyways before they swap into Cobalion. Now remember, they have debuffed our attack, so we're going to go and full send the Earthquake, but it doesn't do that much damage since we are debuffed. We're now going to come in with the Flapple. We are going to no shield as they go for the Stone Edge. Stone Edge does big damage, but we can just barely reach a Fly before they reach a Sacred Sword. Now Fly is going to get the KO there, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. They come in with a Galarian Weezing. Can we reach the last second Fly? No, we just barely miss out there. And just so you guys know, Seed Bomb, not the greatest move, even though it is Stab. I believe Fly does one more damage in a lot of scenarios when they're both neutral or both resisted. So that is why we went for Fly there, or at least tried to go for Fly up against the Weezing. But either way, the opponent's going to come in with their Drifblim. They're going to fire off the Charge Move. We kind of forced to no-shield this, which is very awkward. We've only got Dramper left. Dramper, of course, going to take super effective damage from an Icy Wind, but hopefully we can shield once and then go for a full Dragon Breath farm down. It's going to be close, but Dramper gets that farm down. Now it just depends, can we actually deal enough damage in this matchup to get the KO up against the Weezing? You can see these debuff Swifts, they're not doing too much damage here. We fire off a second Swift. Swift grabs the final shield, and it's very unlikely that they're on play rough, so probably going to be a Sludge. Sludge does quite a lot of damage here, and we are committing to the Fly, but we don't get there in time. Whether or not it would have got the KO there, I don't know, but that is very unfortunate, and we do lose that game. But into the next battle, another Galarian Weezing, this time safe swapping into it after leading with Galarian Moltres. We're going to no-shield here, calling that they're not on Overheat, or at least they're not going to throw it straight away, and they go for Brutal Swing, so probably Brutal Swing and Sludge, but it is a very versatile Pokemon, so I guess we can't guarantee that they're not on Overheat, but we're going to no-shield anyways, and it is just another Brutal Swing. So now we're actually going to snipe with Dramper. Interesting play there. They're going to come back in with the Galarian Moltres, and we will now outpace them to the Swift here. Swift, of course, pretty decent move, just slightly worse than Body Slam used to be before it got nerfed, so it is definitely still better than the current Body Slam. And either way, we're going to no-shield. Ancient Power does not get the KO. They come in with Runerigus, but they're hitting for double resisted Shadow Claw damage. We can go for the Fly. Fly grabs a shield from the opponent, and now we can swap into our Flapple. Now, Runerigus could go for a Rock Tomb here, looking for a guaranteed debuff, and we call it. In that case, we're now able to no-shield, fire off the Seed Bomb. We're debuffed, so Seed Bomb will not get the KO, but we can actually commit to a full Dragon Breath farm down. They come back in with the Moltres, and whilst they do get the farm down there, they're just going to concede the match as they realize there's nothing they could do anymore. Into the next battle, we see another Drifblim in the lead, so once again, get to stay in this matchup. And this time, they do not throw straight away. So we're going to go straight for Rock Tomb here. Rock Tomb is going to connect. It does big damage. And at this point, we can probably just safely no-shield this move. The opponent full sends the Shadow Ball. Fine with us. We actually get the full farm down there, which is very nice. And they come in with Cobalion. So going straight for the Earthquake here. Earthquake is going to connect. It does big damage. And now we swap into our Flapple. We're going to know, so never mind, we're going to shield at the last possible second there, shielding up the Stone Edge and then firing off the Fly. Fly, of course, will definitely get the KO from this range, but the opponent shields up Cobalion. Can we tank another Stone Edge here? It's going to be quite close. Stone Edge is going to barely not take us out, but they snipe with a Blastoise. So things get a little bit complicated here, depending on whether they're on Ice Beam or Skull Bash. We're going to come in with the Dramper. The opponent is choosing to overfarm, and we're able to swap, catch the move onto our Fortress. It is the the Ice Beam there, so we do have to be careful of that. But we can now go for the Fly. Fly, of course, is going to grab the final shield from the opponent. Possibly could have just gone for a Swift there. But either way, we are now going to use our final shield here. We have to be wary of a potential catch from the opponent. They do bait, but they swap back into Cobalion. We're able to hang on to the energy, fire off the Fly, and of course, Fly will be getting the KO up against the Blastoise, and we're able to take that game. Into next battle, we see a Feraligatr in the lead. The opponent's going to Safe Swap into Cobalion, and of course, we've got Earthquake here for coverage, but they will outpace us to that first charge move. The opponent going to go for Sacred Sword this time around. That makes more sense because Sacred Sword and Stone Edge are both neutral. I'm not really sure why the opponents went for Stone Edge in the previous battles, but either way, unfortunately, looking to throw on good timing means we actually farm up to 100 energy, and we've tanked 2 charge moves before we can throw. At this point, probably worth shielding to then go for another Earthquake here. So we do shield up the Sacred Sword. We're going to bait with a Rock Tomb though. This is incredibly risky. It's double resisted, but the opponent does use their final shield. So now we're going to swap into Flapple. We are going to probably no shield the first move here as the opponent goes for the Stone Edge this time around before swapping into a Registeel. So this is quite awkward for us. We've only got resisted damage to throw. Once again, going for Fly as it will do ever so slightly more damage in this matchup. Although actually, maybe it does the exact same damage up against a Registeel. I don't know. Either way, it doesn't really matter. We let the Focus Blast go through. Going to come in with the Fortress and we're able to reach an Earthquake here just before they farm us down. Earthquake does big damage, but we cannot farm them down there. So instead, swapping into Drampa, going to be forced to shield as they go for the Focus Blast, but they've got Feraligatr coming back in, and of course Feraligatr very likely to be running Ice Beam. So we go straight for Fly here. Fly does big damage, but does it put them into Dragon Breath farm down range? The opponent gonna go and full send the Ice Beam, dealing big damage there. Can we get the farm down? No, we're barely not able to do so. That is agonizingly close. Hydro Cannon gets the KO there, and they can Shadow Claw farm down the Fortress to take that game. But into the next battle, awful lead matchup for us. We're going to Safe Swap into Drampa here, and the opponent responds with a Sceptile, and this is perfectly fine with us. Of course, they could be on Breaking Swipe, so we are going to no shield. It does pretty decent damage there, and it also debuffs our attack. However, we can now just full send the Fly. Fly, going to be shielded by the opponent, and these Dragon Breaths are still chunking, despite the fact that we have been debuffed, and we throw on CMP here. So Swift is going to grab the final shield from the opponent. At this point, we might just let this move go through. We are going to take the 2-shield advantage here, come back in with the Fortress. Of course, we can only hit for resisted fast move damage, but it doesn't really matter. They cannot even touch us here. They go for Breaking Swipe. That does such little damage. Of course, we're going to double resist the Grass-type damage here, so if they go for Leaf Blade, that would be even worse for them. They do debuff our attack, but that's fine. We're just going to farm up to literally 100 energy, and then we might actually just swap out completely, not even bother throwing a move. Yes, we're going to do exactly that. Swap into the Flapple, get the farm down, snipe there. Very nice play. They come back in with the Typhlosion, and we're able to reach a Fly. Now, I don't think Fly will quite get the KO from this range, but it does get them very low. So at this point, definitely just going to shield this up. The opponent goes for the Blast Burn. They're going to swap into their final Pokemon, a Shadow Feraligatr, and this game is absolutely wrapped up right now. We actually don't even need to shield this as they only go for a Hydro Cannon that's double resisted. Or we can now go for the Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb gets the KO there. We can Dragon Breath, farm down Typhlosion, and we're able to take that game. Into the next battle, Fortress into Florigist. So that is quite a mouthful there. We are going to stay in this matchup. They can only hit for resisted damage. The opponent also going to go for a double resisted Trailblaze. Fine with us. We're just going to debuff their attack straight away anyways with a Rock Tomb. So it doesn't really make an awful lot of sense there. And surely they must be core broken by the Fortress. Otherwise, you just would not stay in with the Florigist. They go for Moonblast this time around before swapping into a Skeledirge. Now, we are going to go and fire off the Rock Tomb. However, we're going to take the Incinerate damage there, and that does do a lot of damage. Of course, double super effective. We're going to come in with the Drampa. We are going to no shield as they go for a Torch Song. Fun with us, and that probably means that they're on Torch Song and Shadow Ball. So we're going to go for the Swift here. Swift going to be shielded, but we're actually happy to just let this next move go through, I believe. Yes, and the opponent goes for Shadow Ball. Double resisted there. Absolutely fun with us. We can now fire off the Swift. Swift, of course, is going to very nearly KO. We get the snipe with the Fortress. And their final Pokemon is going to be a Feraligatr once again. So we're going to go straight for the Rock Tomb here. Rock Tomb going to be shielded by Feraligatr. I don't know if they can farm us down here. It doesn't look like it. We make another Rock Tomb. Going to double debuff their attack. Rock Tomb gets Feraligatr very low. And this should be game over here. Of course, they probably have access to Ice Beam, but they swap, they clear the debuffs. We're now going to swap, catch the Charge Move onto our Dramper. Very nice play. The opponent does bait with a Hydro Cannon there, but that's okay. Of course, we've still got 2 shields, so even though it's probably going to be another bait, we might as well play it safe here. Shield up the Hydro Cannon. They reach another move, but this is definitely just going to be another Hydro Cannon. So we're actually going to call it, and now we can Dragon Breath, farm them down to take that game. So going into the next battle, very awkward matchup for us, going to be safe swapping into Dramper, and we're met with a Lapras, so not really ideal for us. However, we're going to go straight for a Swift. Swift is going to do some okay-ish damage there, not a lot in all honesty, but that's okay. We are going to no shield, and it's just a Surf, so not even Sparkling Aria, just a Surf, fine with us. We can fire off the Swift here. Swift, going to get the Lapras pretty low, and we probably fight for switch advantage here. Yes, we're going to do exactly that. Going to shield up the next Surf, and then commit to a full Dragon Breath farm down. Now we are very low here. Depending on what they come in with, we might be able to reach a Swift if they come back in with a Talonflame, and we actually commit to the Fly, just barely getting there in time. A little bit risky, but we get there, and we are rewarded as Fly does do more damage than the Swift. They come in with a Blastoise, and we are going to go straight for the Seed Bomb here. Seed Bomb should be grabbing a shield from the opponent, and then we should eventually be swapping into our Fortress, but we are going to no shield. They go for Skull Bash there. We are probably going to bank a Charge Move, then swap out. I really like that play, actually. Coming in with the Fortress. We should definitely no shield this. However, the opponent will be able to swap out back into their Talonflame eventually. So let's just see how we play this. The opponent fires off the Hydro Cannon there. They come back in with the Talonflame, and we can reach the Rock Tomb. However, Blastoise is still relatively healthy, so this is going to be quite tricky for us. They do get the farm down. We can win CMP with the Fly here, but it just depends. Can we live the rollout damage and get the Dragon Breath farm down? It's going to be close, but unfortunately, we're not able to get the farm down. And Blastoise does take us out there, and we do lose that game. But into the next battle, we see a Dragonite in the lead. The opponent's going to safe swap into a Shadow Claw Giratina, so this is fine with us. We can, of course, no shield one move. You're going to see Dragon Claw going to do just under half our HP, so unfortunately, despite the fact that we are double resisting the fast move, we're going to have to shield here, and this is actually not as comfortable as a matchup as you might think. We're now going to go for the Fly. Fly is going to be shielded by the Giratina, and the opponent will reach another charge move. So at this point, is it worth double shielding here? We are going to double shield as they fire off the Dragon Claw. They swap back into their Dragonite, so we're actually going to go for the Swift. Swift going to be no shielded by the Dragonite, and now we can come in with our Fortress. Of course, all shields are down. The opponent going to go for the Superpower, but it does debuff their attack and their defense. We're going to go for a Rock Tomb. We're actually going to fully undercharge this. The opponent shields anyways, which is fine with us. And now they are double debuffed in their attack, meaning Superpower, whilst it is a pretty good move, will not get the KO. We can get the full farm down, and we will come out with a Rock Tomb loaded. So they come back in with a Giratina, gonna throw it straight away. Rock Tomb gets the KO there, and they're gonna have a Venusaur in the back. So we're gonna go straight for a Rock Tomb. Venusaur will not be able to fully farm us down here. So I think we're probably gonna stay in, wait for the opponent to throw a charge move, but actually they're not throwing, so we swap into our Flapple. And they are debuffed, so of course Sludge Bomb gonna be super effective. It will not get the KO, but they've got such a huge energy advantage. They're able to reach a second Sludge Bomb straight away. Sludge Bomb gets the KO there. But Fortress just barely able to hang on, reach another Rock Tomb, and with the Dragon Breath chip damage, Rock Tomb gets the KO there, and we are just barely able to take that game. But into the next battle, we see a Steelix in the lead. Bit of an awkward matchup here. We're hitting for double resisted fast move damage, but they're just going to go straight for maybe a Psychic Fangs here. They're going to go for the Psychic Fangs. Psychic Fangs is resisted. Absolutely fine with us. We can go for the Earthquake. They might just let this move go through here. And Earthquake does connect. It only does about half their health there, so not really ideal. But we can come in with a Flapple. They are on Breaking Swipe, but we are double resisting the Thunderfang damage. So we can let that go through here. They're not going to be able to farm us down. We can fire off the Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb doesn't get the KO, but we get the Dragon Breath farm down. Now the opponent's going to come in with a Water Gun Blastoise. What on earth is this doing here? You should definitely run rollout. Water Gun is not a very good fast move here. Seed Bomb connects. It does huge damage. And we're actually going to be able to fully farm them down there before they reach an Ice Beam. So the opponent just swaps out of that matchup there. We can go for the Seed Bomb, grab the shield from the opponent, and things are looking pretty good for us. Now, I've seen already Dramper can tank an Ice Beam, but we're going to shield anyways, and we do correctly shield up the Ice Beam there. We're going to fire off the Swift. Swift is going to grab the final shield from the opponent, and at this point, we might just let this move go through. We are going to no shield. The opponent baits with the Hydro Cannon there. Huge call, and as a result, the opponent just concedes the match there. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.